How much fun are you having at the moment?
A lot.
Tell me about coming off the bench for the first time to debut in the WPL. What was that moment like for you?
I think it was really nerve-wracking at the beginning, but once I got on the field, it was good.
Definitely in the top 3, hopefully first one day, if that is possible.
Byron obviously was pretty key in the promotion push. Can I just get a reaction from you as someone who obviously played alongside him?
I don't think it was really a big talking point for us in pre-season. We moved on.
I have massive respect for Taryn. She's second to none. Training's unbelievable. She looks after the Prems, the Resis, the 20s and the Women's Premier League as well. It's definitely coming. We're not in over our heads here by any stretch of the imagination.
Where do Tigers finish this year?
A long way out to make a prediction like that, but yeah, so we have addressed that tonight as well.
Hello you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. My name is Mark DePoli and this is a thrilling episode. Why? Well, you've already seen the snippets in the intro with the dims and the effects on it, and you know that there is going to be some fantastic grabs in this episode from some star players who have featured a couple times on this podcast who have given you some great memories over the years. So strap yourselves in, tune on in, put your feet up and enjoy the next half an hour, 40 minutes or so, because you know what's coming, the tough questions and the best ones. You're going to meet the 14-year-old prodigy from Ropes who's already scoring at professional senior level, and then you're going to chat to the Tigers and Marong boys who each are at different ends of the table, but have something interesting to bring to this Match of the Round podcast this week. So, cue that intro music. Here come Workers on! But it's fallen here towards 𝗚𝗏𝗘𝗘𝗡!
Oh my word.
To find her teammate in Izzy Grant! And now played and struck! And in! People, Ryan Dominici! Further forward now to Nira!
We're all ready to play, and yeah, we'll go out and smoke it this time.
Believe it or not, we're actually at episode 11 of the season already. Can you believe that? That's like 3 months worth of content has already just slipped on by. That means more than 2 months of the season that we are already ticking into. Unbelievable. Thanks so much for being here, because guess what? I'm going to reveal some things to you. We are sitting on average per podcast at 150 views above the average that we had last year. Thank you so much for your support. Hit the like button if you think we're coming on in leaps and bounds every single season, because I think we are. Long may it continue. Hala the Blacktown Premier League. And let's get into some nitty-gritty stuff. This is obviously going to be a long episode because we do have 3 team interviews to get through. As you watch the Match of the Round highlights now, let's talk about it. Quakers Hill Juniors went down 4-1 to Holroyd. It was an all top 4 affair this weekend just gone by. In the other top 4 match, a 0-0 between Marong and 𝗘𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐶. A cracker in the Match of the Round as you're watching the highlights of now, as Ponds went down 1-0 to Quakers Hill Tigers. Consecutive wins on the road for the girls. They talked their talk and they backed it up too. Congratulations to you girls. Castle Hill United had a big win over their Hills compatriots, Rouse Hill Rams 2-1. Big win, not in terms of the scoreline or the result, but in terms of what the scoreline and the result means for their season. Norwest went down 3-8 to Ropes Crossing, who just continued to score, and you're about to meet the person who scored 2 of those goals. Parkley went down 2-1 to Quakers United, a great return to form for the team that got beaten by Quakers Hill Tigers last week. Molly Jovanovic among the goals once again. Men's Premier League 2, of course, Prospect on Sunday beat Premier Spurs 1-0, courtesy of a goal thanks to Jacques Murray. Town Rangers continued Glenwood's poor start to the season. In fact, not just poor, really bad starts of the season. Franklin Kobe getting among the goals on 2 occasions before Mwene Malenja scored a pen. Oakville had the bye, which is not good for their momentum, but Parkley went down 3-1 to Newbury. 2 goals for Supri Sandhu were enough. But of course, on Friday in the Match of the Round, as the highlights of package of which you're about to watch now, went 2-0 the way of Minchinbury. It wasn't the greatest game of all time until the 88th minute, when it became the greatest and most dramatic game of all time. A 2-goal double quick fire burst by Blake Curry, as you know, and then the same thing happened to Bailey Coleman, who got sent off, unfortunately, for the poor young defender. My best wishes going out to Emmanuel Issa, who fell awkwardly on his shoulder and dislocated at some part into his chest. It was horrendous. Fingers crossed for you, my friend. You've been a servant of the Premier League for a long time. Really, really hoping on behalf of everyone who watches this podcast and the BDSFA, you're doing okay. Premier League 1 content coming your way right now. Ponds beat Polonia 6-1 before the Women's Premier League Match of the Round. That was a pretty harrowing result as well. Marong won 2-0 over Quakers Hill Juniors. Paddy Holoka got among the goals, as well as Michael 𝗚𝗏𝗔𝗡𝗏𝗏. Eastern Creek narrowly emerged with a 2-1 win over Quakers Hill Tigers. Jovan Blagojevic and Pius Baranji, the 2-star strikers of the boys in green were enough to bet them in front. And in the most important result of the week, and I do think that the Doonside and Workers 2-all would take that mantle. Marcus Correa opened it, Badat scored a pen. I can then put them up 2-1 inside 19 minutes. What a start to the game this was, before Chris Wicks, nearly an hour later, scored to make it 2-all. Look at the table, sees Holroyd remain at the top of it. Of course, you go to the Men's Premier League 2, of course, brought to you by Lang & Timmins Blacktown, and you have to look no further than Town Rangers, and you come to the PL1. No surprise as well, Marong are right there at the top. Let's go into the first match of the round interview segment of the afternoon. So I'm actually going to start with the Ropes Crossing Women's Premier League interview segment to start. Not just because it's Female Football Week, but I actually was inspired by that, to be fair. I want you to meet the 14-year-old prodigy who is scoring at WPL level. Then we'll go into the Tiger stuff. Are you excited? Well, you should be. You're meeting the Chilean Lamine Yamal. Ropes Crossing have had a debut WPL season so far to remember, and that's why I bought some very familiar names. Steph Martin is already on 9 goals for the season, and Sienna Sanchez is the 14-year-old set to take the competition by storm, who could very well be a household name for 20 years to come. And of course, their coach, Adam Hardis, is here as well. Steph, I'm going to go straight to you. 9 goals, you're already in Golden Boot contention. Congratulations to you. Let's go back to the Ponds match of the round there, where you picked up 2. How was it to go into a game, get your first 2 goals in the WPL and do it on camera?
Well, I feel like it was a pretty good run, because all of the team had a amazing effort, and it was our first win of the season, so it felt pretty good to do that with a new team especially.
Adam, this team are 4-4 to start the season so far, just to bring it back into the present. Right in the middle of the table, but still pressing the finger on the pulse of top 4, which is really great for you as a coach. I think they've come a long way in a short amount of time. So considering what we spoke about, just over a month ago before the first match of the round, are you happy with how much progress you guys have made as a squad so far already?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're just making little tweaks each week to the squad and the lineups and the structure that we're playing as we move forward. So building that, like I said in our first podcast, it was all about building that foundation. So hopefully by the end of the year, we're still pushing that top 4 spot and sort of sneak in there at best, but look, we're happy to be competing and being in contention for this year.
Sienna, welcome to the podcast. You become the youngest person to feature on a Match of the Round episode, which is a pretty amazing achievement. Speaking of amazing achievements, you're obviously the goal of the winner from a couple of years ago as well. If we throw all the way back to then, can you take us through how happy you were to win that award?
I was really happy when I realised I got selected, and then when I won, I was very, very shocked and excited.
Excellently put. You've been tasked with playing senior football already. I know that your minutes are being managed at the moment, which is no shock. You can check that on Dribble, of course. But you're playing well beyond your years already. Same as your sister, who's behind the camera as well. We'll get her on one day, I'm sure. You've already scored 3 goals, which is amazing. And you obviously adjusted to the speed of the game very, very well. How much fun are you having at the moment?
A lot.
Tell me about coming off the bench for the first time to debut in the WPL. What was that moment like for you?
I think it was really nerve-wracking at the beginning, but once I got on the field, it was good.
A goal against Parkley and then 2 goals again most recently. You're on 3, as we've already said already. How many do you reckon you can score this season?
I don't know.
Fair answer. Steph, a hat-trick in the Castle Hill game, which is one of the craziest games that I've ever seen come through in my time in Blacktown football. 5-4, your 3rd goal proved to be the decisive one, the winner, of course. Where does that rank, that whole game, where does that rank on your list of footballing moments in your lifetime?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say pretty high, considering we were losing, and a lot of times we put our heads down, but we always tried to stay positive, and then we managed to take the win. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
You spoke in your very first answer about enjoying football with the girls. They scored their last goal to make it 5-4, which was still in your favour, obviously, but they scored that last goal with 20 minutes still to go. So the girls had to hold on to that win. Talk to me about how good it was to dig in and hold on to the victory.
Once again, it's team effort. We honestly try our absolute best throughout the whole season, throughout the game. It's all about positivity and mindset on the field and off the field.
Another question for you. You're on 9 goals, which is amazing considering that's more goals than games played. You're scoring goals in massive quantities as well. 3 goals here, 2 goals here, 2 goals here. Now, there is somebody in the Golden Boot race who's on 25 already, which is just out of town. Now, if you want to chase her down, go for it. But are you hoping to finish in at least the top 3 of the Golden Boot this year?
Absolutely. It would be a great achievement of mine.
Excellent. What's the kind of best goal return you've had in previous years of playing football?
I have no idea. Maybe like when I was younger, under 12s, maybe it was like 50, 60 amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least in senior football, this is certainly a very good return for you. Adam, as I said, you've had a knack of scoring a lot of goals. Steph herself very rarely scores, as I said, in small quantities. So what is it about her that when she scores one, she just goes on to score even more? And how much of a blessing is that?
Yeah, I think it's just the confidence thing. So I think as a striker myself, I think once you get one, you get that little bit more confident and you get that little bit of a roll on. So I think same as Sienna was the same on the weekend. I think she gained that confidence when we're scoring goals. And I think any striker, if you're scoring and bringing goals in, you're going to be happy, you're going to want more. So it's just a confidence thing, and we just got to enable these players to do that. So as the rest of the squad needs to do that for them.
Obviously, Sienna, it's tough for you, well, maybe it's tough for you to step into a senior team and fit in, but it looks like everybody here had a really good time at training, you included. Talk to me about what it's like to have your older sister as part of the squad. What's it like for you to step in as 2 young girls into a senior team and be able to connect with everybody so easily?
It was a bit challenging, which I like. All of the girls have been making me and my sister really included, and we feel very part of the team, and I think that just builds the chemistry of the team.
Last question for you each. Where do you think that this group of girls can finish? You've played most of the teams already, still a couple more to go, of course, but you played a lot of the teams already. Where do you think you guys can finish this year?
Definitely in the top 3. Hopefully first one day, if that is possible. But anything is possible. Yeah, definitely top 3. That I will be proud of that for all of us.
And last question, Sienna, what is your plan? I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but what is your plan going forward? Age just 14 now. What do you want to achieve in your footballing career?
I would like to play more games with the Prems and probably score lots of more goals.
Perfectly put. This is a team who are scoring lots of goals. They are facilitating youth, which is the best thing that you can possibly ask for at this level of football, and it looks like they're having a whole lot of fun doing it. Would I be right in saying that? Fantastically put. Guys, thanks very much for joining me on the podcast tonight. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
What a fantastic opportunity to chat to 2 of the strikers from Ropes Crossing Strikers in the WPL. They've had a really interesting season, 4 from 4 so far, and a realistic chance of making that 5 from 4 and keeping their pulse on the top 4. Of course, those 2 strikers have scored a combined 12 goals between them already, but it's about the fact that one of them is just 21 and scoring boatloads of goals at a time, and the other one's 14 and already has 3 inside, I think, 90 minutes combined across all of her stints. Super exciting, and both did really well on their podcast debuts. Now, let's talk about what this episode has been advertised about, the Quakers Hill Tigers boys. You know what situation they're in. You know some of their star players. You also know who they lost in the off-season. I've asked them the tough questions. Kick back, relax, and enjoy this one. Joining us here tonight for the first time this season ahead of one of the most anticipated podcast and match of the round combinations of the season so far, if not the. I've got Scott Jackson and Aaron Blacker here, the latter making his podcast debut. Thanks to you both for braving the rain and the weather and being here on Female Football Week to give us this episode. Scotty, I go straight to you. Obviously, you've been at a couple of clubs for long periods of time. This is a club that's becoming close to your family as well. Talk to us about the journey of becoming a Quakers Hill Tiger.
Well, I've been part of Quakers Hill Tigers since 2021. My kids play here and I coach my little man here. And I've always been envious of the club culture that's been at the Tigers that I've seen. The passion and I guess general interest for how other Tigers teams are going and the passion for the badge. At the end of last season when Mark Steele asked if I wanted to come play with the Prems, I said yes, and I'm so glad I did. I've got huge respect for Mark Steele and his wife Shanna and everything he puts on here. And obviously it was another chance for me to link up with Taryn as well, who I played under at Doonside a few years ago. I have massive respect for Taryn. She's second to none. Training's unbelievable. She looks after the Prems, the Resis, the 20s and the Women's Premier League as well. And yeah, Women in Football Week, as you mentioned, what better week than talking about our coach? She's a gun. So a lot of boxes ticked and it was a no-brainer. I'm so happy to be here.
We're surrounded by mini Roos games featuring just girls as Women's Premier League coaches from the squad. Just a quick word on Taryn, by the way, while we're here. What's she been like to develop under for you, Aaron?
Yeah, so my history with Taryn actually goes a while back. I actually played for her when I was quite young, 4 or 5 years old in futsal. So I've known her for quite a while. But yeah, as Scotty said, second to no one in this league. The sessions she puts on for us are amazing. Tactically, she's great. She really takes ownership for our development and really helps us, bringing us through. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have so many success stories and so many of our 21s players have been able to step up from that straight into men's football and playing in reserve grade, first grade because of her development.
Fantastically well put. Now I'm going to stick with you, Aaron. Hit you with the pressing question straight up because Tigers certainly deserve to have the opportunity to respond to a certain podcast that was made earlier on in the season before the first ball was kicked about a certain former player of yours. I know he'll be watching this, of course, as well. So will the whole comp. So Byron obviously was pretty key in the promotion push, was pretty key last year in getting some points on the board. He's off. Can I just get a reaction from you as someone who obviously played alongside him as to what it was like seeing him leave and some of the comments that he might have made?
Yeah, obviously that was a big talking point around the league for a lot of the pre-season. He was a quality player, man. Still is. I know he had a lot of big moments for us over the years and we'll always be appreciative of that. But at the end of the day, that's football. So not only Byron, we had quite a lot of turnover in the squad this year and it's no different no matter who you are. So I think for us, it was disappointing to see him go. Obviously, we don't want to lose many players, but we've picked up quality players. I don't think it was really a big talking point for us in pre-season. We moved on, we got working, and I think, yeah, the best part about our club is how much we want to play for each other and we want to play for this badge. And we have a squad right now that wants to do that, and that's all that matters.
Classy. Scotty, wrap us up for this segment here. You obviously were playing in the match where up against Doonside, another one of your former clubs, but the first chance for this club to play against Byron. Pretty tense game, so run us through how that went and was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun. I know what Byron went through because I've obviously left Dooney to go to Ponds and played against them, and I've played against Ponds as a Quakers Tiger as well, so I know what it's like to play against your former club. Yeah, tough game. They got us. I don't think the scoreline reflected the result, although I'll be completely honest and say the better team won on the day, but we'll be better for it and be promising a much closer game the next time we meet them. I know you want to talk to 𝗘𝐿𝗘𝗡, so I'll try and do a magic trick and see if this works.
𝗘𝐿𝗘𝗡, I'm going to go to you. Now, I know you're part of the coaching staff of sorts this year. Obviously, 𝗘𝐿𝗘𝗡's been out for a little bit if you've been checking dribble, but you know, alongside Aaron Blackie, you've got Max Waterson, you've got Jason Green and Damon Cooper Shields. He stepped up this year at times as well. Are these guys growing in leaps and bounds game by game? Is that what you're noticing from the sidelines?
Yeah, of course. A lot of those boys have had chances over the years, in the last few years, but this year sort of they've come into their own and really earned their stripes realistically. And these guys can be counted on every week for us. Like we've already mentioned, we like to bring these junior players through, and no matter what happens, we'll always trust the process and trust our youth players.
That's the Tigers way. Scotty, as well, a quick word on Jacko, on Jackson Fanning. He's a good mate of yours, and obviously he's got amongst the goals this year as well, new to the club alongside you. Just a quick word on him and how he's finding life.
I don't like speaking for other people, but I'm pretty sure he's happy here. He's about to turn 30, so he's getting old. He's actually 30 this weekend, so unfortunately he misses his Marong game. But yeah, he's settled in pretty well, and he's banged in a couple of goals already for his new team, so he's loving life.
I had to get a word in on the top goal scorer so far in first grade. 𝗘𝐿𝗘𝗡, can you give us an update to the public on your condition? You don't have to if you don't want to, but I think the whole competition wants to know where one of Tigers' most dominant defenders has been.
Yeah, look, it's not been a good year and a half for me injury-wise. I think I've been available for maybe 2 months out of the last 16. So, unfortunately, I ruptured. I tore a tendon in my knee early December, so I've been out since. Progress is looking well. Look like I'm going to be coming back shortly, but for me, I'm not putting any expectations on it. I mean, I'm just coming back to enjoy playing. As good as it is helping these boys on the sideline coach and try and help wherever I can, nothing beats playing. So hoping to be back soon, but we're not going to rush anything. I've already sat out for this long, so it'd be stupid of me to rush anything.
Aaron, everybody said that I should talk to you on the podcast this week because you're one of the young kids who has leadership quality, leadership mantle. Do you feel that when you're out on the pitch or when you're around the training ground? Do you feel like, even though you're young, that you've been forced to step up and you're doing a good job of it?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think one thing about this club and one thing that Taryn and the coaching staff really reiterate with us is that age is not a barrier. I think it's been easier for me to step into the space this year because we've brought in the experienced boys to sort of help me. So yeah, I feel like I've stepped up. I have a responsibility, but I have the leaders around me, and one thing we keep saying to each other is that it takes 11. So as much as we do have a few boys that step up leadership-wise, we really rely on everyone, and I think that's the best part about the club and about our team.
Well said. All right, we'll get into the nitty-gritty. These are the questions that I think the whole competition is waiting to ask. Scotty, there's 1 point so far that's been earned in first grade. To be fair, the reserve grade has got a win over Eastern Creek. That's a really good step in the right direction. But on paper, it is not great form. It's relegation form. However, there's a team that has equal points to you, and there's a certain green rival that has only one win ahead of you guys. So there are some critical games coming up. What's the say on the form right now?
The results alone, definitely not where we want to be. I think the only bad game we played was the first game of the season against Riverstone. We turned up, I don't know what happened. We just had a really bad game. But besides that, we've been right in them. The Doonside result was 4-1, and on paper it looks like it was one-sided. Conceded some pretty bad goals. We had a good second half. 1-0 loss to Ponds. We had a good chance there, although they also missed a pen in that game. What else did we have? Eastern Creek. I mean, we lost 2-1, but we had so many chances there. We just conceded a silly goal. So, Polonia 2-2. Geez. Some late chances. We hit the post twice. Just frustrating. They would have been frustrated with the result as well. I think it goes to show just how tight the competition is, though. I mean, I'm so happy with the effort and just how close we are. It's frustrating that we're not getting the wins, but it's definitely coming. We're not in over our heads here by any stretch of the imagination. It'll turn for us, I'm sure of it, and hopefully it turns this weekend.
We just had a pretty good summary of those games just then, Aaron, but specifically on the 2-2 with Polonia, who do you think was the better team that day? I know you've just said that we've hit the post, but who do you think, in your opinion, was a better team that day?
I'd like to say that when we left the ground that night, it felt like points dropped rather than a point gained. Whether they think that or not, I think we had the better chances. We went ahead twice, only to concede 5 minutes after on both occasions, which was the most frustrating. Both individual and collective errors cost us that day, but yeah, definitely the feeling around the group following that week was that we dropped the points. So that was a tough one, but I think as a group, we got together, we took a lot of positives out of the way we played. And as much as we didn't get the 3 points, hopefully a performance like that to show that we can compete will help us later in the season.
Kempi, you've played and been a part of a Quakers Derby match of the round game, which obviously you guys were successful in. They're struggling for form at the moment too, not quite having the results go their way. They're not that far ahead of you guys. Do you see those two matches as not just big occasions for the geographical distance between you two, but for the geographical distance between you two on the table as well?
Yeah, look, those Quakers Junior games, the ones we live for, we got one over them on the live stream, but then they got one back over us. So at the end of the day, like we said, this comp's really tight, and I don't think any specific game is any point where we can gain points on anyone. That's every week we need to be getting points to catch up in the table. Like I said, juniors might not be on the best form, but we know that they've brought in a lot of their older players from the last few years when they were a bit more successful. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start climbing back up the table and find some form. So, but we'll be ready for the challenge. Like I said, we want to play every team there is and give them the best we got, because even though, like we've already spoken about, the results haven't been the best, overall performances, we think we're going in the right place, and we'll continue to keep pushing.
Scotty, Marong is one of your former clubs. Obviously spent a lot of time there, and there'd be some strong affinity for that club. They're 6 from 6 right now. They've been pretty much perfect, most would say. Now, just with reference to the Ponds game, which was a 1-0, it was a very close one on a Sunday afternoon. I have heard, I could be wrong, but I've heard that there was quite a lot of defending done, but you guys say you stuck in, you almost got there, almost. What can we expect when you come up against Marong? How will you approach them tactically?
90-minute performance. There's going to be, like most games in Blacktown Premier League, swings in momentum. There'll be times when Marong are on top and we'll weather the storm. There'll be times where we're in possession, we're on the attack, we're going to have chances as well. We've just got to take them. But a 90-minute performance is what we're talking about week in, week out. And I think, as I said, besides that Riverstone game, I feel like we've been very close, or getting closer to 90-minute performances as recently as the Eastern Creek game last week. You know, that was better than the week before, and we're getting better every week. We really are. So hopefully another step towards an even better performance this week.
Obviously, Jacko's got a couple of goals. Elvis picked up a goal as well early in the season, Aaron. In terms of who's getting the goals up at the top end on a consistent basis, like what's the target going forward? We know how Tigers have played in years gone by. Is it any different to the way you guys have played with free possession-based football? How much has that changed?
I don't think it's changed too much. I think to start the year, we've had actually quite a bit of changes week to week with our teams. So whether that's due to niggles or people being away, that sort of thing. So I think the best thing about this season compared to other seasons is that whilst in previous seasons we've had a really prominent front three, I think we've lacked the depth behind that. This year, I think we've already had 6 or 7 players occupy those areas. So I think we have a few targets and we can attack from anywhere on the park. In terms of tactically, we're trying a few different things, but the mentality stays the same. We're trying to move the ball. We're trying to keep the ball where we can. But at the end of the day, as we've spoken about, just 2 boxes are letting us down at the moment. Take our chances and just stop conceding these scrappy goals.
Scotty, last one for you. Quick word on your role. You've grown into a leader among not just the teams that you played at, but throughout Blacktown, obviously an All-Star representative as well. You would have a different role this year. So you're talking about individual mistakes at both ends of the pitch. In order to eradicate that, you need people like you to step up and be that leader. Is that how you see your role this year?
Yeah, I embrace the role of being a leader in the backs here at the Tigers, barking orders as much as I can. There's been once or twice where I feel like I probably yelled too much. After the Ponds game, I lost my voice and maybe yelled a little bit too aggressively as well. But my heart's in the right place, and what happens on the park stays on the park kind of thing. If I yell at you, it's because I want you to do something. And I mean, this guy to my right yells at me a lot, and I love it. I respect it, and I want that. I think you sort of need to show some tough love at times because we all make mistakes out there, and we need people to do the thinking for us. So, yeah, in terms of my role, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, the leadership qualities in this fella and a few other boys in this squad means that this club has a massive future long after I'm done playing.
All right, Kempy, finish this off. Where do Tigers finish this year?
A long way out to make a prediction like that, but I predict that hopefully these next few rounds, we've got a good run of home games now, so we really need to make the most of those. And I'm predicting that hopefully we get a few wins in the next few weeks, and we'll start climbing up this table and hopefully finish in a comfortable mid-table spot and get away from where we are at the moment.
Anything is possible here at Patterson Reserve, as people have seen throughout the years since they returned to the Premier League, the Tigers boys. Thanks so much for coming here before training. I really do appreciate it, for your honesty as well, and good luck this weekend. Fair to say that they handled that situation pretty well. Everything from the whole Byron chat to also talking about their realistic chances of pushing into mid-table. I'm really happy to hear that Kempy, even though he's obviously from the sideline, is keen to get back amongst it and has a full faith in the boys. Good to see Scotty Jackson down here as well. Aaron Blacker handed himself, I think, the best of the 3, considering his lack of experience on the podcast at least. Should we go and chat to the team they're playing this weekend, who are 6 from 6 in the Premier League to start? I think we should. Let's go now. Marong, we do. We're here tonight off the back of their Wanderers 5 training session with the Marong boys. We've got some brand new faces, even though you probably recognise most of them. Josh Ross, you definitely know. 𝗚𝗏𝗘𝗏𝗏, you're coming to learn. And Ryan Bowler-Colborne has been holding in the midfield for as long as time itself. Ball, let's go straight to you. Talk to me about your training session, trying to fit it in among the rain. How was it?
Yeah, it was a good session. Something quick, something high tempo just before the weekend. Unluckily, we couldn't train on the field, but we had a good session here tonight. Just basically fitness and quick touches on the ball.
Joshy, welcome to the podcast as well. Wanted to get you on for a little while. And it's good to have you on here because you have such good experience across playing at these grounds and across some of our best Blacktown clubs. How are you finding the Marong switch into your second season now? Still feeling as ambitious as you were last year?
Yeah, we're always ambitious, and I just think we just keep growing with our squad. Like, our squad is probably a lot stronger this year, like as in unity-wise.
Ethan, as well to you, welcome to the podcast, but also welcome to our competitions. I really hope you're enjoying it. You've got a match of the round goal to your name already. It's great to see. How'd you feel when you got that one? Because the celebration was good too.
Well, it was a boost for me. come to this comp. Hopefully many more to come.
You have joined this Marong squad, and you wrote down in your notes to me that you really enjoyed the way that we look after our competitions and the way it's promoted and the way people get behind it. Yeah. As you've played more and more games, has that feeling grown? Are you enjoying the feeling that comes with playing in Blacktown Premier League?
Yeah, 100%. Playing a couple of games, so was it 6 games now? I've seen it's a lot more developed than what I played at MPL, which I'm enjoying a lot more. In comparison, what I've seen so far is a lot better, well broadcasted like this, and then everything else is just a lot more seen by spectators, more people coming to the ground in comparison. So yeah, I like it so far.
Very well said. Josh, I go to you to go back to the match of the round, a 6-2 over Workers. A couple of bad weeks for them if you cast your mind back to the game they had against Ponds at the same ground as well. You did it without the majority of your midfield, which was very, very impressive that night. You had some young boys really step up. Just on behalf of those boys who couldn't be here tonight, but the likes of Eamon, for example, the boys that came off the bench, what was their impact like considering that they were so young?
They just brought a lot of energy into the midfield and when they come on. But I think they just grew as the game progressed. Like, as soon as they started talking on the field and they got to know how we played, they just kept bringing that energy and they just kept pushing on. And as you've seen, Eamon had a great game. Baller,
you're one of the leadership key figures in this team. It would be your job off of the pitch and on it as well to try and help these younger boys integrate into this squad and become established players and assert themselves as first grade level. What's it been like watching them blossom into what they're becoming?
Yeah, they've grown really a lot over the last few years, even under Robbie and now under Dylan. They do train with us as well, so they're growing from us, they're learning off us, they're versing us, so they're getting some first grade experience against some first grade players, against the likes of Kelvin, myself and Paddy in the midfield. And yeah, they're growing every week, and as you've seen, they came on and changed the game, or I wasn't there so I couldn't say, but they held their own and they got us the victory in the end.
Marong have obviously won the club championship 3 times, which actually equals Ponds 3 times that they did prior to you guys. So whoever wins this one this year, it's going to be a pretty important one because it puts them ahead in the race for club championship. Your reserve grade team has started a tiny little bit slow by comparison to their usually quite high standards. Just talk to me about squad depth and as players come back from injury and get back into full fitness, will that reserve grade team bump up?
Yeah, so we have addressed that tonight as well. Going through the team, look, they are fairly new, some new players in the lineup, but with us, we're going to grow, and it's still early season. They will get the wins under their belt. They will get the momentum coming into the semis, hopefully, and then push that through to the finals. But that's the goal. We're hoping for both teams in the grand final, as well as club championship, as you said.
𝗘𝐀𝐌𝐀𝗏, you're coming up against the Quakers Tigers team that are looking for vital points in both the club championship and the first grade league table to keep themselves alive and kicking. They are equal on points with another team at the bottom of the table, so every single point is going to be critical for them in a fight for safety, if that's what you want to consider them in a battle for right now. This is a chance for you, as 6 from 6 so far, to really make another statement like you did against Workers. What's your prediction heading into this match of the round?
Well, we go into every game expecting it's going to be a tough game because everyone wants to beat us, so we got to go into that game, tough mentality, play every game like how we are at the moment. So we can't undermine every single team. We got to play them as best as we can. And then obviously on the weekend, it's going to be a tough game going into it, match of the round. Expecting going to be big hits and stuff like that. So we got to be ready for it.
Josh, from a bit more of an emotional perspective, a little bit away from the tactics, I know you're someone who puts everything out there into the game, so I know that you're the right person to ask for this. This Tigers team at some point are going to feel like their backs are against the wall and they are going to get chances. That's what's been happening in every game. It's just about if they can take it. And if that's the way that they're going to play, they could certainly be dangerous on the counter-attack with some young players who are quite quick. And it could be a bit cagey because the stakes are quite high. So how important is it for you guys as an experienced team to stay level-headed in a game where this could be a potential banana skid?
Well, we just got to stay disciplined. Like, that's all it comes down to. We just got to keep talking, just keep playing the way we've been playing, and the result will come. We just got to make sure that everything we do does with a purpose.
Another quick word on Tigers as well. Sort of going off the back of that, it's important for you guys to also keep your finger on the pulse of both grades especially in first grade with Pons being so good in recent weeks as well, and Doonside starting to find form. You still yet to play Doonside, which would be an amazing game. But how are you, considering you're 6 from 6 in first grade, how are you thinking about, as of now, for the rest of the season, looking at it? Are you guys able to keep up this kind of good form?
Yeah, so that's the plan. We're just going to keep going every week, no matter who we're versing. We're aiming for the win no matter what. I know we do have Doonside in a few weeks, as well as Pons, and we'll look forward to them as well. Again, it's just going to be another game. In this comp, it's proven anyone can beat anyone. So we're just going to turn up with the right mentality, get the win, and move on from there.
Just a quick word on injuries as well. I think there's been about 3 or 4 different backlines that have played so far. There's been some suspensions here and there. I know Mubi was out in the match of the round, second yellow. How are you looking strength-wise, squad depth-wise in first grade?
We should be good to go. Our squad is very depth. We have a lot of depth in our squad, especially first grade. The right players will slot in no matter the injuries, especially our defence. I know we've had a few changes, but we do have the depth to keep our backline solid, as well as the midfield.
I think that's all we've got time for here on the Blacktown Premier League podcast this week with the Marong boys. It is going to be a very interesting match of the round for a whole lot of reasons. Thank you very much, boys, for being here tonight and sticking behind after a very late training session. I really do appreciate it, and good luck on the weekend. Probably not the most insightful Marong interview of all time, and I'll take some credit for that myself. But when you have a cancelled training that then gets shifted to Wanderers 5s, not everyone can turn up, so we didn't get all of our desired players, but it's good to actually finally meet 𝗚𝗥𝗘𝗘𝗡, who is a star. Really love the fact that he said that he's enjoying the Premier League to the point where he actually noticed the promotion, and that was one of the factors as to why he decided to join up with one of our teams. That's the greatest compliment I reckon I've ever received. Ever. So thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it. Kind of hard to go to Marong and ask some questions that haven't already been asked, especially when they're not playing necessarily a team that are competing with them for the title, which is when we can ask a bit more nitty-gritty and look a bit more at the stats and figures. But obviously Tigers are only into their second year up in the first division, so it's harder to have those conversations. But I think there's some really exciting things coming out from the club, and they've definitely got a bit between their teeth after the way that they finished last year. The fact that they were able to just gloss over the Workers' victory, which of course I remind you was 6-2, is actually pretty impressive. It's just stock standard for them. That's going to do it for another episode that has gone extremely over time. These are meant to be 20-minute bite-sized ones, by the way. It was meant to be reduced from an hour to 20 minutes, and I've just never, ever stuck to that. So I humbly, not so truthfully, apologise to you guys because I know that you guys eat it up. My name is 𝗚𝗥𝗘𝗘𝗡. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, of course, to our major sponsors of the men's side, Lang & Simmons Blacktown. Really is a pleasure to have you guys on board this year. Get keen for the match of the round on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Of course, make sure you're there, or tune into the live stream. Hey, and if you haven't already, please leave a like on the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for 1.75 thousand subscribers on the channel. We are bordering on 2,000. I reckon by the end of the year we could hit it if we just keep smashing the like button and the subscribe button. Pleasure to have you here, guys. Thank you so much. And cue the outro music. But it's fallen here towards 𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏! Oh my word. And now played and struck and in! Further forward now, Tagura! Ryan Dominici! Wants a second goal. Isabel Webb should have a second goal and finishes with ease.